We will start with the second part of the session, which is focus on the training. And in this occasion, it will be on amplifying projects results. First, we will start with a brief recap on the results of the survey of the training leads that was sent to all the thematic projects before the summer break, to see the results and to see as well what type of trainings we will be able to offer to you in the next months and years. So please, Susanna from ACR Plus, you have the floor.
Okay, hope you can hear me now. Well,
yes, we can.
Good. Yeah. So, well, almost noon. For those who don't know me, I'm a project officer at ACR Plus in Brussels. And yeah, as Merce said, some time ago, we shared a survey with you to gather some insight on training needs and preferences. So I will very briefly go through the main things we learned. So first, the orange chart is about respondents. We had 30 respondents from 32 projects because some of the respondents were representing more than one project. A vast majority of the projects or thematic projects were from the Innovative Sustainable Economy mission, but there was also one from Natural Heritage mission. Then the blue graph, it shows how the thematic projects were represented. So some were represented by up to 4 respondents, while others had just one respondent representing the project. And the last pie chart, it shows the categories of respondents. It's not really showing the complete picture because not everybody indicated which organization they were from. But from those who did, majority were from universities or research institutions, and then from regions and municipalities. And then there was a few people representing either some consultancies, chamber of commerce, agricultural organization, etc. So we can go to the next slide now. And so for the survey results themselves, just a side note for the types of training, there was a clear preference for in-person trainings over online trainings. But the highest rated one was the learning from experts and also freely accessible documents online. But this graph, it shows the topics. So we also ask about the preference for topics for the capacity building activities. And so you can see that the highest rated was the replicability and transfer of innovation. So ideally, the trainings should prioritize the transfer of innovation, and also second is stakeholder engagement. So offering some tools how to scale and replicate successful innovations and take the projects beyond the pilots. And also, I guess this shows the acknowledgement that stakeholder engagement, efficient stakeholder engagement is really critical to project successes. And then on the third place, we have with the same score, policy mainstreaming, citizens engagement, and regional policies and smart specialization strategies. And right after that, on the sixth place, we also have communication. So we can go to the next slide where we also ask you about subtopics preferences. So for the highest rated topic, the transfer of innovation, we also ask you a bit more, what exactly would you like to see? And so it's not very legible, but it's just to demonstrate that the highest interest was in seeing in identifying the results that could be replicated, and also knowing how to present the project's innovative outputs to attract attention of investors, stakeholders, policymakers. For the stakeholders engagement, there was a preference for hands-on methodologies for organizing participatory events, and also some techniques to influence citizens' behaviors, some nudging techniques. So we will look into that later as well. And we can go to the next slide. For the policy mainstreaming topic, there was an interest in learning how to use the local and regional policy tools to support the circular economy projects, how they can be integrated into the everyday governance of the territories. and also learning how to leverage funding from European programs and also the regional level, and also aligning the projects with the smart specialization strategies and regional innovation initiatives. And for communication, the highest preference was to learn some best practices from projects that are already successful in that and past, from award-winning projects, and basically learn from some very concrete examples of successful communication in the past. And we can go to the next slide. This is just in case you're interested. We also ask if you would have some other ideas, some additional topics that you might be interested in. So there were some ideas about focusing also on the new cutting edge technologies, communication tools. So using tools as AI, ChatGPT for maybe some video graphics or social media management. And then you can also see listed some of other topics of interest like financial and project management, entrepreneurship, some soft skills, techniques for public engagement, elevator pitches. But overall, there was the respondents were quite content with the topics we already offered in the survey. And in general, there was a preference to participate as learners rather than actively contribute to the sessions, but there were also some of you willing to maybe contribute to some of the trainings. And last slide that I will present is about planning ahead. So for the next year, based on the survey, we have some ideas. So for the transfer of innovation part, we would like to look at how to develop business models and make project investment ready, which is a very interesting and hot topic in almost all the discussions. For the stakeholders and citizens engagement, we'd like to look on some approaches, practical approaches to influence citizens' behavior, some nudging techniques, etc. And for policy mainstreaming, it would be interesting to see how the thematic project activities can be linked with the circular economy in the policy levels through things like waste management policies, public procurement, urban planning. So integrating the project results into the everyday governance in the regions. And for communication, we looked that maybe we could create some toolbox, as there was a preference for also having some materials online. But we would also like to have some successful experts presenting some practical examples from communications that were already successful in the past. And in case there are any questions, of course, feel free to ask, but that would be all from me.
Thank you, Susanna, for this overview, and hope it covers the messages or the views of the thematic project partners. We had the opportunity to answer this survey of all the project partners, so we hope that all the needs are compelled here. So we will move now to the training on results amplification concepts by Alessandro Daraio from Emilia-Romagna region, who is the lead partner of the Dialogue for Innovation project, the governance project as well. So please, Alessandro, you have the floor.
Hello, thank you, Merced. Good morning, everyone. Merced already introduced me, so I will go directly to the point since we are late. Maybe before starting with let's say, with this conversation rather than a training that would be also rather short, Merced, if we can launch the survey, let's say, just to be sure that everybody's here and is listening and interacting with us. We prepared a very few and very simple question, just to introduce the concept and also to understand your degree
Sorry,
of familiarity, let's say,
yeah,
with correct.
sorry, Alessandro, just
Yep.
a logistic question that we did not consider. I'm sharing the screen and I cannot share the poll at the same time.
Okay.
So sorry for
I
that.
may,
Maria,
let's
can
see,
you?
yeah. The intro.
Well, if it is
Or
a
maybe I
problem, of
can.
course, they can
No,
be.
I can do it.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
I can do
Now?
it now. Yeah, sorry. I figured out.
Well, as you can see, I think everybody can see in the screen. Very simple question, just to understand your familiarity with Interreg and also with something related to amplification. So just please tell us if you have already participated in an Interreg project. If you have idea if the outcome of the project have been used by your organization, the organization you were let's say, working with, or if you have idea, this is the third question, if other organization used let's say, used the result, the outcome of the project. And then a final question that is more related to the project you are currently working for. If you know and if the project is paying specific attention to the issue of the amplification of the result or not, and in which let's say in which way this is done. Um,
Alessandro, I don't know. So I guess everybody can see the questions and I can see that you are answering. But what I don't know, if you see the
Not
the
yet clear.
answers.
We will
no.
share them after.
No.
So now people
Okay.
can vote. We
Yeah.
will leave some seconds. We have 25 participants so far. So we'll leave a few more seconds to reply to the 4 questions, and then we will share the results.
As I said, consider that we are 62 people in the room. This is just a double check that everybody is really in the room.
Let's see, we still receive some answers, but quite slowly now. So like 10 more seconds and we will close
Yeah,
the
I
poll.
will.
All right, so I'm going to close it. We received 38 answers, 39. We are still receiving some, so like 5 more seconds.
And in the end, let's say the statistics
40.
that will come from will come out is not so uh, um, important, but it's just to have an idea of also
Sure.
actually the familiarity.
All right, so let me share now. And you can see here the results. Alessandro, if you want to comment.
Okay, so more than two-thirds of people have already participated in other Interact projects. This is, in a way, something that more or less we know. As some people say, there are the usual suspects working in the projects. The majority knows that the results were uptaken by the partner organization. That is good. Also, we see also 1/2 of respondents say that the other organization used the outcome. In my view, this could be a little bit maybe too positive, but and in the other half doesn't know. So nobody had the courage to say that other organization didn't use, but we are optimistic. And yes, I would say that all the projects are engaged in the amplification in this period. Good. So let's say since we are all caring about the amplification and in your projects, in our project, basically, we are also paying attention to this topic. The conversation this morning is just to maybe share some very key concept and eventually to start a conversation for the next meetings. Um, I start with the, let's say, why it is important that we discuss about the amplification of result in Interact. Because, and it was clear in the working group before, everybody is enthusiastic of the outcome of what we are doing in the project. But I guess you are aware that in the outside world, people is not as much as us enthusiastic of what we are doing with Interact. Meaning that a typical, let's say, consideration is that these projects are nice, but are not really creating any visible and tangible impact, even because are rather fragmented. And so, for example, now that the debate on the future of the budget of the European Union that is supporting Interreg, there is always concerns about the shrinking of funding dedicated to this kind of policy. So it is important that us as community, let's say, involved in this kind of activities, we pay attention to this. The problem with Interreg is actually is quite conceptual, is understanding and measuring the impact of this project. That is really challenging. Either if we consider the direct contribution to the socioeconomic change in the territory, if you work on sustainable energy, the direct contribution would be, I don't know, the increase of the use of renewable energies. But of course, this is complicated to measure with Interact because usually there are not investment correlated. So you don't really see an impact that you can measure with statistics. The other typical impact of these projects are on building, and this is maybe even more important, building the capacities of the organization in the areas tackled. So maybe we do not increase the share of renewable energies directly, but maybe we can offer some tools to stakeholders working in this field to do better investment and so to contribute indirectly. But this is not easy to, let's say, not to make it visible indeed. The second problem that we always have when we talk about the impact is if, let's say, the geographical scale we measure. Because sometimes you can have an impact locally where we do the pilot test, just to use words that we are using in the projects, or is the impact of Interreg to be measured in the functional area, and this especially for transnational program like the EuroMed one with 14 countries. Again, it's very, very challenging to understand what can be the impact in this very, very, very broad area, also with very, very few money. The other typical argument that there is about projects in general, in this case not only Interreg, is what happened, what the project end. Before in the poll, you said that at least in your opinion, in your experience, the organization participating in the project used the outcome. I'm not sure this is always the case, but in general, there is this feeling that us as community working on this, we have that some of the production of the knowledge produced in a way got wasted because could be used even more also by other organizations, but it doesn't happen. So that's why we are, let's say, paying attention to this issue of the amplification of results. You can go, Mercedes, to the next slide. Thanks. Again, before going to the point, just for us to let's say, to disambiguate also our wording, because if you're familiar with Interact, you are probably also familiar with this word, but are often used in very different, let's say, giving a different meaning in different contexts. So just to understand more or less, we here in the program, in this case, talks about amplification, but the traditional word that is used for this activity is capitalization of results. Capitalization is a general word. Basically, I reported the definition from Interact, but it's basically any activity performed to support the reuse and transfer of the result, what is produced by projects. And in the Interreg world, this is considered as one of the activities that improve the performance of the program. Now, in order that the impact of the program, not only of the individual projects, is increased. So this is in a way the general concept that we have. And other programs still use exactly this word. We have another concept that, again, in the Interreg Med, especially in the past programming period, was very much promoted. That is the one on mainstreaming. Mainstreaming is a sort of subset of capitalization because it refers more specifically to the process of integrating the knowledge produced by projects, by Interreg projects, into policies, a different geographical scale, but into policy making. And so, let's say, is a subset of problem that maybe is even more complicated to be done. And maybe doesn't consider that Interact often produce solutions which are not just for policymakers, but are for SMEs, for universities, so for other kind of stakeholders. Another concept, I'm going fast, but eventually you can interact in the chat if there is, let's say, something not clear, is the concept of transfer. Transfer is a word that we have in this programming period in our, let's say, terminology, because there are one of the typology of projects of the thematic project is what they are called transfer projects, but all projects, all thematic projects were called to work on the transferability, as we've seen also in the exercise before, transferability of results. So this is a process that, again, leads to the reuse and adaptation, replication and adaptation, to use the words that were used in the breaking room before, of some activities, some action. So could be the deliverable, but could also be the processes. Altogether, in this programming period, the Euromed program this time talks about amplification of results. That is a different concept, but really broader. And here I adapted the definition in this way as really all activities, any process that purposely is aimed at increasing the impact of a project. So it's not only reuse, it's not only capitalization, it's everything that can be done in order to improve the visibility and therefore the impact of what we are doing. We can go to the next slide. So this word on amplification leads us to, let's say, to refer to our main document that we have in this sense, that is the result amplification strategy of the Euromed, Interreg Euromed program. This is a document that probably you are familiar, or anyway, you are supposed to be familiar, because was one of the documents to be referred also in the application for the project selection. The result amplification strategy, here I copied the definition of the strategy itself, is the strategy to support the capitalization of knowledge, experience, and project results, and its approach to support the governance of the cooperation, so in the Mediterranean. Here, if you look at the strategy, the word capitalization is defined in an even broader way than the one I referred before. You will see in the slide the definition, but I'm not going, just not to keep it too long. But anyway, this strategy has basically 3 lines of concept within it. One is the transfer of result, so producing something good and allowing other organizations to use it in order to multiply the impact. The other one is what I called before mainstreaming, so integrated this knowledge into policies, because the assumption is that influencing policies, you can impact much larger, let's say, because policies have a very strong impact, and then they also have a strong authority and often also funding associated. And the third line of this amplification is not so much related on single outcome of the projects, but it's more on improving the coordination of the stakeholders in the area, because in the end, cooperation is really about improving the, let's say, networking and relationship. So cohesion, this is why we talk about cohesion in the functional area that we are considering. it is important that we are all aware of this because let's say all the actors of the program, including the thematic projects, are called to contribute to this objective of the RAS. Although, as you know, there are the governance projects and so ourselves, which are specifically working, let's say, to support this activity. But let's say it is important that we have this in mind and also that we share why in the end this objective is important. Mesa, we may go to the next slide. Um, Here, I just schematized because if you have read the strategy, you remember that it's quite long and also very articulated with very details that maybe we are not exactly implementing as they are. But the basic concept in the RAS is that we need to better work together. So why there are the communities, why also, for example, the community of practice we are part of, uh, because the first level of capitalization is within the program. So different projects that can join forces or maybe can share knowledge, as in the discussion before it was suggested, um, let's say to produce better solution, not in isolated. The other is also that, of course, the external maybe is much more relevant to present a cluster of projects. So that's also why the thematic project has been clustered, because maybe the single solution, the individual one, are very small and very specific, but combined, they can be of interest of a broader audience. So the first level is capitalizing within the project, the program. The second one is coordinating with other programs. Starting from the other Interact program, you know that in the Euro-Mediterranean area, there are 17 Interact programs, I guess, overlapping, partially overlapping. So there is a lot of, it's very important to interact with the others and so to look for synergies for the other program. And this was also a requirement when the projects were selected. This kind of so work together and creating synergies is considered as one of the leverage factors to increase the impact and especially I would say the visibility also of what the program itself is doing overall, not just the single projects, improving the governance and directly impacting in the territory. I'm going too slow, but these are my, I think is this one and next slide. So just to give us some common categories, the main message I would like to pass is that when we are talking about amplification of results, there are several processes which are possible. So it's not just maybe transferring a single solution to one another, but there are several possibilities. We found quite useful this review that is mentioned here in the slide in this article that is not referring to projects and to Interact, but let's say we used a little bit as a reference. And Mercer, we can go directly to the next slide. Let's say to, in a way, isolate some sort of typologies or processes that can, let's say, process of amplification of the projects. We classified in three categories. So the first one is related to the amplification made by the same partner organization participating in the project. So we called it a sort of stabilization. So when this is related to the durability of results. So what is produced by the Interact, by the project, is used by the organization involved and is kept durable. So now when the project ends, something will remain, something useful will remain. And this is already, I mean, in a way it's basic, but it's not to be, let's say, considered as something as granted. The second category of processes are related to, let's say, transfer to similar stakeholders. So we distinguish it, but the distinction, of course, is quite ideal. The possibility to the promotion of the use of the same solution in similar context, no, some application was successfully developed in an area with a group of companies and can be used by other companies in the same sectors working in the same field. So what is produced is relevant. Of course, the quality of the output here is important. The other one is instead the promotion of the use of this solution in different contexts. So what before it was referred in the working session as adaptability, you can adapt the solution in order that they can use in different content. And in this way, you promote a spreading, no, of the solution around. Uh, and these maybe are the ones that we are concentrating more. But then we have the possibility to amplify. Here is called amplifying beyond. That is basically could be a scaling up of the processes. So broadening the scope of the initiative in terms of scale, but also in terms maybe of let's say also resources related. Now we start with a pilot and then we go to a full scale investment, or scaling deep. That is something that is in a way is a sort of upgrade of what is produced to gain more relevance. So for example, before we refer to mainstreaming, so the policy uptake, or it could be also something that changed the mindset of people involved. That is something that maybe we should reflect on. Okay, sorry, I have a problem with my screen. Okay. So this is a proposal we have just to share with you to, let's say, also if you see, if you find this category is nice, but the main message is please consider in your work and share with us all the possibilities that we have to amplify the impact, the visibility also, I always say, of what we are doing, because these are all important when we will indeed maybe have to promote the work, the important work that we are doing together. I think, Mercedes, there is a poll if we want. Well, but it could be on any
Yeah,
slide. We could
we can.
also go directly to the second question if you have it separate, but I don't know.
They are together, so it's
Okay,
very
good.
similar, but yeah,
Yeah,
if you can explain the difference between the first and the second.
exactly. Very quickly, so just to let's say to be, we are just asking if you have already experienced any of these processes of amplification in your previous, let's say, experience with projects, so not related to Interact. So if you are familiar, but also experiencing this, and then eventually you can write it in chat. And then we are asking with the second question if in the projects that now we are managing, so in the community, you were thinking to perform or to contribute to any of these processes of amplification. So just very quickly, but again, we don't need to stay much even because I think we are rather late.
We have about 20 answers so far, but people are voting, so I will just wait some seconds.
Of course, if you have specific cases, then we will go with some example, but you can write in the chat or you can get in contact, let's say, with us, because it will be very interesting also for the future to promote cases of amplification. And also for us, it will be important to learn about concrete experiences, maybe also to update this kind of, let's say, classification, because maybe something could be missing.
Okay, I will just show the results. 5 more seconds if people still need to press
Yeah,
the sending vote.
let's see if they are positive as the one before, or we understand a little bit better that can be.
Since I can see the results, they are positive,
Okay.
but there's still work to do.
They are anonymous.
Okay.
No, we don't
Yes,
know who
yes.
replied
So
which question.
feel
Okay,
free to
we
answer
cannot
whatever you
verify.
feel. Okay, I will just show you the results. There you have them.
Okay, it's quite, for example, this is a bit contradiction with the one before because let's say, no, your experience is more with replicating and spreading, so transferring to other rather than uptake internally, so stabilizing. But anyways, fine. Of course, scaling deep is the most complicated, so this is not surprising. And in the program, in the project as well, yes, the most in on replicating and spreading, but in this case, I'm um, not surprised because it's also what we talked in the session before. But there are some ambition also related to scaling up and scaling deep, and this would be interesting for us to know more, even because from the governance project side, we can also try to, if possible, to support you in this kind of processes, also related that can be related to the governance. Okay. So, just to complete this, to complement this session, we identified some example, let's say, of concrete cases of amplification related to past experience. So the next speakers will be, let's say, presenting these cases, just to have some example to keep in mind. Merce, I think you are moderating this part.
Yes,
Okay, good.
exactly.
So thank you
So
very much.
thank you, Alessandro. Here you can see the examples that we will go through. There will be brief presentations of each case to understand exactly what was Amplify, how did they do it, if they do it themselves or there was another project no, that supported them, and as well the final impact no, of this process of amplification results. And the idea is to show you different examples that can be applied within your projects or within the governance projects with your project results. So we will start illustrating the examples of spreading with Embrace project and Made for Waste. I will call the different experts while we are changing to the different type of amplification processes. So we will start by myself. I didn't introduce myself before, but my name is Mercè Boirroura. I'm from the Beta Technological Center at the University of Vic, Central University of Catalonia, in the northeast of Spain, and we are the lead partners of the Community for Innovation project. I'm also I was coordinating the previous Interreg Med Green Growth community, and that's why I will present some of these examples. So the first case, it was the amplification of results from the project Embrace, which was within the Green Growth community. And what we did there is to look all the potential results that could be transferred. And among them, there was one that was the Embrace Circular Business Model Toolkit. That included a methodology and a tool, the Eco Canvas, on how to evaluate and support different SMEs to identify the hotspots of their value chains where they could apply circular economy practices and make more circular business models. The target group of this toolkit was basically SMEs, startups, or business support organizations. So that was quite clear, and that helped us as well in identifying potential takers. We are using the definitions of givers and takers. I think it's quite explicit what they mean, but we will also introduce this concept in another presentation and later on. But basically, we refer to givers, to the people, to the projects that are able to provide some content, knowledge, tools, and the takers are any type of a stakeholder that are interested in some topics or tools that can receive and would like to go through the process of integrating or uptaking the results from other. In this case, the mechanism that we use, as we said before, it was spreading, and this process was through the transferring and mainstreaming of results done by the green growth community. In this case, the process lasted only about 2 months. It was quite fast, but that's what we could do in that period, and the activities also were thought to last quite shortly. In this case, what we did is to match one of the partners of the Embrace project, who was based in Spain, because the taker interested was a business and support organization in Aragon, and as well as the government of Aragon, the regional government. What we did as Green Growth Community, who facilitated this process, was organizing online meetings to get to know each other and to transfer the basic information. But then when they really got to know the tool and how to use it, it was organizing a one-day workshop as well with the creator of the Eco Canvas tool, to explain in detail and to do a demonstration in place on how to use this tool. So the business support organization could later on show it to their companies that are in their organization. And also at that time, the government of Aragon was going through a process of drafting the strategy of a circular economy in the region, and they updated the toolkit of Embrace project as a best practice to obtain a stamp that they call it Aragon Circular. And it was a stamp to recognize the companies in Aragon that were doing an effort to become more circular. As well, since this was I didn't put it, I think, but that was, I think, 2020, more or less. And at that time, the Circular Economy Action Plan was really on the agenda of many public authorities. The government of Aragon, together with this workshop that we organized, they further organized other trainings, especially for SMEs, in the topic of circular economy, so they could really have an impact at the regional level. I think I went quite fast, but I think these were the main highlights that we wanted to show you as an example. We will now move to another process of spreading of results. In this case, the presentation will be done by Noé. If you can talk, let me see. Noé is okay. It's from MedCities, and they are also partners of some of the projects of the Committee of Practice of the ISE mission. But in this case, he will explain the case of another project that they participated, that was called Med for Waste. So Noé, you have the floor, and I pass you the slides.
Yes, thank you very much, Marcel. As Marcel was saying, my name is Noé Viedma. I work as a project officer in MedCities. And today I will be presenting the experience of the Med for Waste project. Just one sentence about MedCities. We are a network of Mediterranean local authorities. So we work with municipalities, and we have currently 79 members in 17 different countries. So about the Med for Waste project, just to explain you a little bit what was it. It was a transfer project from the NECVC Med program. And within this project, we developed a mentoring scheme. What is a mentoring scheme? In short, it will be like a capacity building process on a specific topic, and let's say made out of various stakeholders. Summing up, it will be like givers, facilitators, and takers. Maybe let's say the innovative side will be that we have not only givers and takers, but facilitators, which is a bit more complex, the whole procedure, but we believe it enriches the output. So what we did was to work with 4 different project outputs and partners, which were the Clima project, Medina, the Cost and Reuse Med. Each of these projects developed a specific tool that was targeted and we, let's say, did the match between six local authorities in the Mediterranean and these tools. So how we did it? Basically, we did it in only 1 year time. The implementation time was 9 months. So what we did is to launch a call for proposals for Mediterranean municipalities in the southern shore. And we select these six municipalities, two from Jordan, two from Lebanon, and two from Tunisia. And we, let's say, twin them with, from one side, a giver, what was the project partner from the project that was developing the tool. A project partner from Med4Waste was acting as facilitator, meaning that was supervising the whole process and somehow enriching it. Just a point to mention, to say that these of project partners, each of one were a different type of a stakeholder, meaning one of them was an NGO. It could be a technological center like Beta. It could be a business organization. So this, of course, was something of adding some complexity to the whole procedure, but also we believe enriching it. In summing up, we developed four different activities. The first one was to develop or improve a waste management plan. The second one was to implement a small scale action, like a pilot action. The third one was twinning them with another project and organizing study visit and online meetings. And the last one was to develop like an SME solution. In this sense, we as MedCities, we coordinate the first three activities, but the last one was run by a business med, as they had the expertise to accompany SMEs in this field. So what we have done, like the products or the results of the project. So we develop, out of 6 municipalities, we developed 3 new waste management plans. On the other 3 cases, we develop an improvement of the plan. As I mentioned, we developed some piloting actions. Just to give you an example, in the municipality of Mahdia, we try to provide an added value to what was already done via another project, Klima project. Basically, they set up a new composting facility, and with this small scale action, we organize a capacity building training and local awareness raising workshop for citizens in order to increase the collection of organic waste. The third activity was the twinning program, and in this sense, we organize field visits. Just to mention one of the examples is that, well, the municipality of Der Canon El Naher in Lebanon and Madaba partner up with Cordoba from the ReuseMed project. And thanks to this exchange visit, Der Canon El Naher, they, let's say, recover an old second-hand market that they used to have in order to reuse material. And the last one was a supporting measure for SMEs, trying to cope with innovative solutions on waste management. And as I mentioned, developed by BusinessMed, and which they provide different solutions like ICT solutions for the solid waste management system, or repairing a recycling plant with reused materials, and so on. So I think that was all I could explain in 5 minutes short. And if you have questions, you can just write in the chat. Thank you.
Thank you, Noe, for these concrete examples. This was also done by a conversation project, no, such as the Green Growth Community. In this case, was Med4Waste in the ENI CVC Med program, as Noe said. And the next The next example is from another program. It's from, if I'm not mistaken, H2020 or Horizon Europe already, the Hoop project. So Sereno, please, you can introduce yourself and go ahead.
Hello, Merce. Thanks a lot for inviting me. Yes, it's actually still a Horizon 2020 project. So I'm happy to be here. I work with in ACR Plus. You already know Francesco and Susanna, and I'm working on this Hoop project. Happy to be here today to explain you in 5 minutes. Quite challenging, but challenge accepted. Could we move to the next slide? So I will not go deep into what Hoop is because it's a 4 years project. It's very close to the end. Actually, we just got 6 months of extension, and especially for replication activities. So you will see in my presentation, at least I will try to share this with you, how important it is to consider that replication activity cannot really be left to the end, and it needs more time than actually a project sometimes plan. To give them. So just to say that Hoop is really, I would say, divided in two main core. The first one is Hoop is focusing on valorization of bio-waste and on the production of bio-based products. On one side, there are cities involved in the consortium. There are cities and regions that are part of the consortium, and they receive PDA as assistance for like really understanding what to do with bio-waste and how to valorize it, going beyond composting and anaerobic digestion technologies. So really going into innovation. And there are technical partners supporting like this, we call them lighthouse cities and regions. On the other side, there's the replication part. So the idea of the project was really to, as we heard this quite a lot today, the fact that we work a lot on projects, and then once the project is done, what are we going to do with the results? So replication was really a key part of the project, and it was focused on this creation of a network of cities and regions that you can see on the right, that along these 4 years reach more than 120 members, and they are all cities and regions all over Europe, and also waste management companies at a public level. So they have been part of the project. No, I'm still there, sorry. They have been part of the project, and they could participate in it, basically receiving some services that have been all collected in a hub, where basically they could find all the information related to this topic, all the result of the project, and especially they could interact with each other, because this was the main point of their network, really connecting cities and regions that are like facing the same challenges and find together solutions. Related to what Hoop created, thanks to the participation of the technical partner and the lighthouses, and that are tools that have been provided. And actually, I will not go deep into them, but since you will be working on innovation solution and innovative circular economy projects, I will really recommend you to have a look at it. I guess links are being put in the chat, because there are some tools that are really interesting for understanding how much, on which level is your project, and if it could receive some funds, and if not, if it's not ready, on what you should work on. So this has been quite useful and has been shared quite a lot with the members. So now we can move. How we did it, like how did we try to replicate, to help this network of cities and regions to replicate the project results? First point to keep in mind is that, as I said at the beginning, replication needs more time than expected. When we started the project, Hoop was very innovative. We were really focusing on very innovative technological solutions. And we started building, while we were starting building the network, which were basically the people that were supposed to replicate activities and results, they were not ready. So lighthouses were ready. Lighthouses were part of the project, and they received all the support. Cities were not ready. They were not already on that level of even speaking about valorization of bio-waste. There were cities that are part in the network. They were still discussing about how do I collect my bio-waste? How do I convince my citizens that collecting bio-waste makes sense? So we tried a lot of different strategies, and I'm happy to share with you what worked and what didn't work, and involving and engaging members of the network, and so pushing really for the replication. We understood that study visit and personal meetings really work, and also personal invitations. So at the beginning, through the hub, we were sending this very general communication, telling them what was going on. in the project in general, but it really didn't work. So what worked was really being flexible on what the city needed and on which level the cities were. So on this site, the tools and the hub that we developed were very useful because we could really ask to each member to define on which level they were, to really evaluate their initial state, let's say. And based on that, we could contact them, we could involve them in specific activities. So for example, the one-to-one support that we provide them, it was really based on this. It was based on which level they were. There were some cities that were very interested in technologies, but there were other cities that were really into knowing more about collections. So, for example, related to the study visits, there's one that is coming actually just in 2 weeks, on the 28th of November. I opened the invitation to anyone interested. It's open again for HOOP members, so our cities, basically cities and regions, waste management companies. We cover all the costs, and they will be in Florence, in Italy. It will be really focused on bio-waste collection in historical center through different kind of collection means, for example, underground containers, door to door. There will be presentation also about the relationship that cities have to be with the HoReCa sector in order to boost bio-waste collection. All of this to say that actually the project didn't start with this purpose, but we had to adapt, and flexibility was really key in order to really meet the need of the cities that were involved. And especially, this is very important, to build the conditions beyond the project, because through all the replication activities, we did online meetings, thematic launch talks, one-to-one support, so discussion and putting in contact members that were asking for technical support and put them in contact with the technical partners. All of this really to give them all the tools, the means, and even like a sort of change of mind on how they perceive their activities at local and regional level that could go even beyond the project. So I think there's another slide. Yeah, the impact, for example, is it's really, as I said, starting from the needs that a city have, and then adapt, let's say, the replication measure. So we didn't do the opposite. We didn't take the result of the project and then try to replicate them. What we did is like, these are the results of the projects and are quite great, but on which level each city can discover these results. So the project didn't focus just on technological, on valorization of bio-waste in technological sense, but there was a lot about stakeholder engagement, for example, on some like tools available, some methodologies available for stakeholder engagement, and even putting the members in contact with the partners that are really expert on this topic. It was very important for some cities. So this was quite key, and we understood it, I would say, quite late. So I'm happy to share this with you so that you could really grab this lesson. For us, it was great because the Commission understood the value of the project's results, and also the need we had to really push for application. So that's why we had 6 months extension, and we are really focusing on this right now. And I cannot present you because some results, like in terms of numbers, because we are collecting now with the members that have been involved some, let's say, data related to the impact. And I would highlight the fact that the impact sometimes is not measurable in terms of money, but it's also, for example, the fact that thanks to the connection we created, for example, in beer, in Bergen, there was this, thanks to the projects and thanks to the tools related to stakeholder engagement, the lighthouse could meet the right stakeholder and get in contact with them, engage them. So there was this waste management company, public waste management company, having a lot of bio-waste. They didn't know what to do. And then, thanks to this stakeholder engagement procedure and methodologies implemented through HOOP, they managed to find the right startups and companies that needed bio-waste in order to actually activate their business plan. And in this case, they do amazing things. I mean, there are some companies just making food for fish. You can imagine Norway how important it is for aquaculture, but there are others that are using it to even make food for humans. Going a bit beyond, eating larvae and these sort of things is becoming something. It's quite active. It's quite interesting to see this going on in Norway actually. So I would say these are my key points to keep in mind. And yeah, I'm available if you have any questions, of course, and maybe I could share my contact in the
Thanks.
in
Yeah,
the
I saw that
chat. Thanks a
Francesco
lot.
from ICR Plus shared many links about the Hoop project, but if you have questions, you can ask them in the chat. And very nice to hear what did work and what it didn't. So we take note of that in terms of organizing our next activities. And good luck for the extension. Thank you, Serena. We will move to the next example. We have still some examples to show, but I will go quickly to that. This is an example of a scaling up an initiative, which was the Green Growth Community. And basically, as a capitalization project, as a thematic community counting with different modular projects, what they were called the thematic projects in the previous programming period. There was a lot of contents, lots of ideas, lots of methodologies, tools that were developed. And what we did as a community was to analyze all this content, to cluster them in different thematics, and to produce some white papers or policy papers, some documents that could summarize all these points and provide some recommendations or call to action, to do in the topics of the projects that we had. And during the progress of the Green Growth Community, we received the interest of the Union for the Mediterranean from the Secretariat. And they were very interested in uptaking all these results that we were that we were producing, and they involved us in different meetings in the task force and the working group that they have on environment, so we could explain the advancements of the projects that we had in the community at that time. And it was the perfect moment because the Union for the Mediterranean decided to draft and to draft the UFM 2030 Greener Met Agenda, and we helped pretty much in the conceptualization of it, providing ideas, and it was basically a source of inspiration, I will say. And the Greener Met Agenda of the UFM, for the ones that don't know it, it was basically done to set a framework to coordinate, streamline, and promote efforts in the Mediterranean region in 3 primary axes of work. And one of the axes was pretty much promoted through the initiative of the Green Growth Community, which was, of course, together with other initiatives, but the Green Growth Community, I will say, it was a preliminary source of information for the first axis on supporting the transition towards a green, circular, and socially inclusive economy. And apart from there, we obtained the labeling of the project as well, and thanks to that, several opportunities raised from this collaboration with the Union for the Mediterranean, from technical assistance to organize workshops or to be invited in different events. So that's why also what we will try to do now with these governance projects, to amplify your project results, to get to a scale, to upscale this initiative that maybe a single project could not do in their own. So we are here to support you and to increase your visibility, basically. And next example, it's not a scaling up, it's a scaling deep. So going more into the policy uptake, and this presentation will be done by Yorgos Stefanedes from the University of Patras. He was the lead partner, in fact, of the Graspina project, who was also part of the Green Growth Community in the past. So please, Professor Yorgos, you have the floor.
Thank you so much, and thank you for inviting me. So we'll have the opportunity to talk about Graspino. If we can move to the first slide. Okay. So remembering the presentation by Alessandro, we are talking about the challenge of expanding and then replicating and so on in the community. But I'd also like to add an aspect here that we had in mind also during Graspino, but later on, we are talking about two different worlds here that we are trying to communicate with. And on the one side, we're going to be talking about the challenges with the public sector, and on the other side, we're talking about the challenges of the smaller and medium companies that are involved. So let's talk about Graspino. That was supported by the green growth community. We were very fortunate to have that support. And the major outcomes there were, on one hand, the methodology for selecting green criteria in the electronic green public procurement. And on the other side was the unified platform. So we have a methodology and a tool. And the target groups, as I just mentioned, were the two opposite sides. Let's talk about it this way, not really opposite, but not so easy to communicate between the one and the other. And so we supported the public sector in order to be able to prepare the tenders for green public procurement and making decisions on how to make this procurement in the face of bias and older methods governing the previous thinking. And on the other hand, we have the platform that supports the SMEs to communicate to the public sector what they can offer and to be able to submit these offers. So if we can move to, okay, how did we do that? Okay, so in this case, we're talking about really getting deeper into this process. And we, of course, used all the necessary and usual steps of testing, transferring, and mainstreaming over a long period. 36 months was actually the project lifetime. But to tell you the truth, it has been a never-ending process because it involves all the procurement agencies, at least in Greece. So the stakeholders were initially the Greek Ministry of Economy and Development, with the General Secretariat for Commerce and Consumer Protection. And they were the givers because they were part of the project. And on the other side, as takers were the committee, the Greek Interministerial Committee that involves 5 ministries: economy and development, environment and energy, public works, health and interior. Each of these has their own world. They have their own environment, and although they were together as the takers, we had to address them separately. And how, with these activities, the framework agreements that were valid for all the ministries, the transferring of the criteria that they could use for the green public procurement, and the products that they could use, the proposed products that were to be included in the National Action Plan. And yet something that has still remained since then as a process is the Living Lab process that allows all these parties to talk to each other and specifically to talk about the themes that we're talking here about. That is the platform, the criteria, and the life cycle costing. Also, we have an activity that works with the capitalization that is more or less still going on. And this is happening through the different seminars and workshops that we make all over Greece and on occasion in other countries. So if we can move to the next one. And okay, so what is the impact? The results are referring to the testing, the method, the transferring, the capitalization, and they were all incorporated, we were fortunate to be at the right place at the right time, because it was the time that the ministry was putting together a strategic document for the country, Greece, a growth strategy for the future. And it was prepared by the Greek government and presented in 2018 to the Eurogroup. And in this document, we can find public procurement as the second sector of the public finance reforms and sustainability goals of the growth strategy. So a number of users, we have to talk about it, but really it is very wide set. It is all the purchasing authorities in Greece. We started talking with as we just described, with the government, but underneath are all the authorities that they get directions from the public, from the government, and slowly this has to go slowly but steadily to all the authorities in Greece. So what would be the next step? All these are steps that do take a long time. So by the end of the project, the Interministerial Committee was already drafting the national strategy, which would include this approach as a new element. And we see this as an ongoing process with which we at the University of Patras, we are very directly involved. But if anyone has any questions, any comments, we're always open and available. And also, so thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, Yorgos, for your intervention. And as you said, it was also very important for Graspina to have the results ready by the time that this strategy was written in Greece, and that's also in some occasions it can work, in some others not. But it's nice to see the results of it. So let's move to the last example from today. It's an initiative of stabilizing, because it's an initiative that comes from different projects, especially from the Blue Growth community from the past programming period. And the example will be presented by Tiziana Denitis from Emilia-Romagna region.
Thank you very much for inviting and for the involvement. I will go straight to the point. So I work for Emilia-Romagna region, and we are right now managing Blue Ecosystem Project. So for the thematic communities, this can be interesting. And so here it comes our experience. Basically, I'm going to introduce MASBE. MASBE is the Maritime Sustainable Blue Bioeconomy. That is a partnership that has been approved within the community of practice related to smart specialization. Where it comes from? It comes from exactly the capitalization of the many tools and instruments and experiences that have had as a starting point 3 key projects, all approved within MED program, Mistral, BeBlue, and Blue Biomed. Most of them, I would say all of them, have a kind of a quadruple helix approach. So all of them were involving different kind of stakeholders, and focusing slightly on different aspects, because Mistral was more focusing on SMEs and clusters, on biotechnology. BeBlue and Biomed gave as a key result an alliance for the blue economy. To list all the results would have been quite complicated, because this was the starting point of MASBE, in the sense that there are other projects involved, also approved within other Interreg program. You can go to the next slide, please. And just to give you an idea, so it has been basically approved last year and launched in Barcelona during the S3 forum. And right now we are 15 regions and 52 members. But 52 members is not the real number, because just to give you an idea, there is an international organization that alone for the Black Sea counts something like 300 members. So 52 is a summarizing number that involves much more. You can go on. So this partnership, however, is led by Emilia-Romagna and co-led by Apulia region, both in Italy. What is the strong point of MASBE? We have taken a step forward in the sense that starting from results and tools that were coming from projects, we have matched with the priorities related to the blue in the different countries, and us as first have had a kind of strong influence thanks to the project, because blue became a priority in this current program for all the others, and in order to support and to guide the others to compose MASBE, that was to identify priorities within the blue, within the many topics of the blue. So basically, you can go further. So basically, with MASBE, we made a kind of crossing of the priorities, so to identify our topics. Why we have been appointed as lead partner within this new partnership? Because basically, we are sharing our experience. We are more and more committed toward blue since some years now. That has brought many different opportunities. We are within the only one national technology cluster devoted to blue, coordinating all the other Italian regions. We decided to join and to share our expertise within the mission within Horizon. And we are also one of the first region in Europe creating a kind of financial mechanism in order to connect the Sustainable Blue Partnership of Horizon Europe together with ERDF. And of course, so other initiatives that have been approved also within other program, as I was said before. For instance, here it is mentioned Eccentric project, that is an Italy-Croatia project, just to mention one, where so we are taking action. For the next slide, please. What is the let's say the key relevance? There are many about our partnership. Is that so? In terms of the what, of course, so we started not from zero, not reinventing the wheel, but we tried to capitalize all key output coming from the different stakeholders. At the same time, our strong point is that because we represent Adriatic, Mediterranean, Ocean, and Black Sea, we just missed the Northern Seas. Our strong point is really a consolidated big partnership that is based on a different partnership coming from other EU-funded projects in the previous period. And what was the methodology? The methodology was how to take a step forward all in terms of policy commitments. So basically, we were matching these results with the different strategies at regional level. First point, the regional level, of course, or national in the case of Balkan countries. And the impact is that right now, what is the advantage and let's say also to be within this partnership? For sure, we are starting getting some services, and the impact that we are, let's say, replicating and widening towards the territories that are involved is to share and to concretely transfer so the tools that within the different projects have been developed. And of course, you can go further. Because basically, so our right now our possibility is in terms also of services and of advantages to all the members is to get some consultancy. So based on the topics that all together we have also identified to take further and new actions, we will have also support in terms of new opportunities as funding and finance, and also to scale up some experiences that can have also a market placement. Further, last one, just to give you an idea. So this is our temporary, but even if almost consolidated mainframe. These are the 4 key topics that we have identified within our partnership, and these are the groups of the entities and organizations that right now have voted and have a coordinator and vice coordinator to work together towards the different aspects of these key 4 priority areas. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your attention. It was an intense morning. I hope you enjoy and you gain new insights from transferring methodologies and also from the other projects of the community. We will be in touch with you, as Maria said in the chat. We will send all this information by email. And please keep in touch to us for any information that you would like to share by email or Basecamp. So thank you very much. Enjoy your lunch if you haven't had it already. And we keep in touch and see you next time. Thank you very much, everyone.